Hello everyone, welcome to the Executive Outlook. Today we have Nilesh Mehta, founder and CEO of Genius Solutions with us. He brings 20 plus years of experience in enterprise technology, digital transformation, automation, AI, ServiceNow, and modern business operation. Nilesh, welcome to the show. Great to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me, Isha. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, before we start having a conversation, I'm very excited to know your journey. How did you start and how you start your company, Genius?
Sure. First, again, thank everybody for having me on this session over here. I'm very much honored and happy to share details of what I've been achieved over here. Start my journey. I was born and brought up in Mumbai in India, and I grew up to be an electronics engineer from a Mumbai university. I then went to the US, did my master's in computer information sciences over there, did my first job over there where I learned a lot in the first 5 years of my job over there. I grew up as a programmer from writing C code into Visual C++ and a lot of Microsoft stack at that point. The company was focused in delivering solutions for pharmaceutical field sales team basically. And I got to write a lot of solutions related to Microsoft Exchange, Microsoft Active Directory, and related technologies with Outlook and Internet Explorer stuff in that space. I got really involved in technology and I was good at what I did at that point. But having come from a business background, company or family, I always thought there was something missing in me. I thought I had the potential to do so much better with myself and my career. And I decided to go solo in the year 2004. Roughly around 2002, 2003, I ran into technology called Microsoft SharePoint, which I had a gut instinct would change my life and a lot of enterprise life around the world. And that paid off. Started a company that was focused primarily on enterprise productivity and solutioning over there. And I think that is where the passion came to build this company and to provide solutions that enterprises really need to grow, to build scalable solutions, and to make their employees more productivity, right? So I built that team and that foundation over there, and slowly and steadily we started growing Ingenious into a company that is focused and geared around many different aspects of an enterprise, whether it's employee productivity, whether it's about business process automation, whether it's about finance and ERP implementations, whether it is front office solutions like building CRM and marketing solutions, or supporting IT operations from a company, right? And even providing global capability centers where you get more reliable and experienced resources, because customers are always looking for extra hands to get the jobs done over there, right? So I think that's been the process. The other passion that helped me was when I was growing up, I always felt that I could do so much more, and somehow I was limited in my career path in where I was growing. And the exposure that I received by starting this own company and being able to go to my full potential, I wanted to build a place where similarly ambitious people could come and join us, and they would not be limited to explore their potential. At Ingenious, our team members, they have their full authority. You can do whatever you want as long as your customer's happy and your project's good. Learn, explore horizons, and do the best of what you can. Nobody's going to stop you. If you think I can do this, go for it, and we will encourage you, right? So I think that is a platform I wanted to build for others as they are growing in their career path also. So that's the whole passion behind NGT Solutions.
So, that's great to know how you started and how you have passionate about that. So, you mentioned that you have done many digital transformations, right? So, in simple words, what a digital transformation looks like to you? Like, what is the use cases in very simple terms? If any business is looking for, what should be digital transformation for them?
Sure. It's a great question. Again, I think this word has been used so many times over the last 10 to 15 years, and people still try to figure like, what am I doing over here? In layman's terms, it is basically converting paper and pencil processes into digital solutions. In the last 10 to 20 years, technology has evolved so much. When we moved from desktops into laptops into tablets, and then into phone device, right? Cell phone. I would say as a business owner, about 70% of what I do on a daily basis happens from my cell phone, right? And the way people have changed working in the last 10 years has been working through these devices. So we cannot look at paper and pen or notebook processes anymore now. That is what we call as digital transformation, but it's only one part of it. When people work in corporate offices like ours and stuff, they are doing a lot of work on their desktops and laptops and stuff like that, right? But when you go to the field, there are people who are doing field services. You are going to manufacturing, you're going to retail shops. Every one of those processes over there can be converted into a digital solutions. Use IoT to connect devices in manufacturing industries or even retail with the point of system, the POS systems over there, connect them to the SAP system. So it's not just corporate offices, it's looking at every aspect of a business and seeing how can I digitize this process over here, whether it is from an end user customer point of view or whether it's internal business processes, right? Or working with hardware devices. How can I bring digitization to this process? And that's digital transformation.
Okay. And what is the business outcome of that? Because for businesses, what matter is it should impact the business, right? Either in term cost, it should be a reduction in cost or the improvement in productivity. So how can we measure the outcome of any transformation?
Great question. And this is where a lot of business owners and CXOs have to spend their time upfront, right? Saying, by doing this transformation, what am I getting out of this stuff, right? Am I going to save money, like you said? Am I going to increase my sales 5 times from this perspective? Or there are going to be certain intangible outcomes from this stuff. Let's say, for example, by implementing stuff, on a daily basis, I just have chaos in my company. The different teams are not talking to each other properly. There's miscommunication happening. My company is potentially maybe always in a reactive mode, not in a proactive mode. Those are some of the things that we would look for from an outcome perspective. The best use case is always I'm saving money or I'm making more money. That's always the best use case and why I would go through this journey. But the other things are also streamlining operations, streamlining processes. At the end of the day, whenever you start doing that, the ROI may not be short term, it may be long term, but it always ends up in some way or other helping you from a financial perspective. When you streamline, you are either becoming more compliant, your processes can be audited to say what happened over here, and I can exactly tell what mistakes happened where and how not to repeat those mistakes again. My employees and my team members can be more productive, they can be more happy in what they're doing day to day perspective, and that productivity will ultimately end up showing in a financial ROI basically at that point, right? So all of these things are done to make the company function better. When a company functions better, it produces better. When it produces better, makes more money.
Absolutely. So do you want to share some use cases you have implemented for any industry which really impacted the things we are right now talking about, the business outcomes?
Sure. I can, last 12 to 24 months, there are a couple of important use cases that come to my mind right now, right? So as a company, we are, like I said, majorly focused on employee productivity and business process automation. We are focused on front office and back office solutions. We are focused on supporting IT operations, right, from that perspective. A couple of use cases that come to mind immediately are working with a retail organization in the US, where they were using a legacy system that they'd be using for at least between 5 to 10 years old. That system was technically supposed to help them with their ticketing system, with their help desk issues and customer issue resolutions, helping them with knowledge based stuff, but it wasn't being leveraged properly. It was an old system, may be used about 25, between 30 to 40% utilization for the amount of money they were paying over there, and they were paying a decent amount of money on an annual basis. We were brought in to help implement a new IT service management solution, which in layman's term is more of a help desk ticketing system. But so we brought in a platform called ServiceNow, and we were able to implement this platform for them in less than 8 weeks. Yes, so less than 2 months, right? Which is awesome. 6 weeks from soup to nut, gathering customer requirements, implementing and getting it functional in 6 to 8 weeks is an amazing achievement over there. And the customer was very happy with them. What this allowed them to build is a much more scalable and robust IT service management platform where they could be more proactive. They could get better reporting about, what kind of issues I'm getting from customers or from internal issues, categorizing information better, right? So previously everything was categorized as an incident. Now I know whether this is an incident or a problem or a request or a change, different things happening. We were able to bring AI into the picture by saying, how can I better solve this, ticket faster? Building a knowledge base that allows internal support agents or even end customers to solve problems sooner on themselves, right? So this brought a drastic change in their response time to issues that they were facing, and allowed us to build a platform where customers can get faster resolutions, which ultimately then leads to happier customers internally, which then again, like I said, leads to better productivity, right? So that's one thing that I can think of immediately that worked out very nicely for us. The second one is a recent one where we just basically implemented an ERP implementation for a manufacturing firm in Mumbai over here. This customer was using Tally and many Excel spreadsheets to manage the day-to-day operations and finance from their point of view, right? They were having issues in visibility and control across their inventory, their production, their financials, and their business processes, because this was all distributed. Either it's happening on paper or it's happening in Excel spreadsheet or in an accounting system that's a legacy system or not an ERP or enterprise class application. So we were able to work with this customer. I think the project started somewhere around the first week of November. In less than 4 months, we successfully implemented an ERP implementation with Microsoft Business Central over there, where this customer now has end-to-end visibility across all of these issues that they were facing before. It's all automation, it's digitized, it's audited. I have visibility into my financials, into my inventory management, into my production capabilities. All those things have become so much easier and better for them. They have integrated their sales and purchase tracking over there. They have accurate real-time financial reporting. Those ROIs are really helping them put their platform in place where they can scale now so much faster from that, right? One thing I will mention clearly over here is in both cases, why we were successful is also because the people on the other side we were working with had clear knowledge of exactly what they wanted.
Absolutely.
In many situations, sometimes you're working with businesses that they themselves don't have clarity, and we have to mentor and monitor them on how business processes should be. But in both these situations, we were able to work with customers that had clarity on what their ask was, what they really wanted from the system, and how we should work together as partners and deliver these things to them. So that allows to really, deliver these projects very quickly. Delivering an ERP system in 3 to 4 months is also a very good achievement, and we received amazing kudos from the customer also. And the same thing, delivering an ITSM system in 6 weeks is actually unheard of sometimes, in some ways, right? So those are the two things that come to my mind immediately from that perspective.
Like how this journey starts, what is the biggest pain point that the customer sees before they make any decision that this is the time we should modernize our operations or our infrastructure?
That's a great question. Let me take a minute to think about how I'm going to respond to this stuff, right? So what happens is issues are never sudden in any organization. They have been happening for a long time. It takes sometimes an experienced person or somebody who's been working there for the longest time to understand what the gaps in their business are. I think it's a combination of a lot of experience and exposure to different types of industries and markets that allow us to come in and see what are the challenges these companies are facing, right? And then it takes a lot of management support to say, why do I need to do this now, right? There are many organizations that still work with legacy platforms and they're still doing a great business out there. Doesn't mean that they don't know how to run business and they really always need ERP systems. The challenge is when you want to build a system that is not dependent on a few people, that is automated, that has processes in place, and that can scale to multiple folds because you have this process in place and you have the tools in place, right? You have the visibility on your data and analytics that can allow you to take better decisions faster. So I think once customers start understanding this, then they will think about, okay, I need to start this journey now. The technology is here to help me make this better and scale faster.
Okay, so they have started facing those challenges over the time, as you mentioned, and
Mhm.
then there's a realization that hey, if something can be fixed with technology, and then that's the instant there.
Exactly. And you see that only when you're small or trying not to grow, you're like, it's okay, we can handle this. But when you want to build something to scale, then you cannot just keep doing old processes. You have to have some kind of a solution that has to be built. Right? And when somebody decides, I want to build this company into a bigger and better company, that's when they will understand, like, then I need to solve all these business processes or problems that I have in this organization.
So I think those were the question, Nilesh, I wanted to ask. And thank you so much for sharing your practical insights with us today. The conversation really, I enjoyed it. We talk about technology, people, processes, execution, modernization. So a lot of learnings. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us.